What is going on YouTube? This is Jim back with another video. Today I want to talk to you guys about subscribing to the channel. Getting close to 5,000. Please help. I would appreciate it. Guerrilla confirms it's working on an online Horizon cooperative game. This article comes from VGC News. I will post a link to it in the description below. You know how this works. They need the clicks. Go check it out. Read it for yourself. But I'm going to read it to you anyway because this is very interesting. This was actually something that I was thinking about after I kind of gave up on Horizon Forbidden West. Maybe one day I'll go back to it. There's a lot of other games that have definitely drawn my interest than that game has. But I always thought it would be so cool to have larger than life robots where you teamed up. And we've seen a lot of these kind of Monster Hunter-esque games starting to rise in popularity over the last few years, probably because of Monster Hunter, honestly. Monster Hunter World, I think, really changed that landscape. Monster Hunter Rise, an incredibly successful game, a game that I love and still play to this day. Can't wait for it to come to Game Pass. All my cheap friends could play with me, even though I've been playing forever since it launched long ago. But I think this would be amazing. And I feel like the PlayStation universe, or the kind of PlayStation ecosphere, however you want to call that, is really lacking a really engaging console exclusive multiplayer experience. I know we're getting The Last of Us factions at some point, but you really look at, you know, the old days of like good PlayStation online games. We haven't had one in a while. So this is really cool. So Guerrilla Games, who makes the Horizon series, has announced that they have 17 different job positions, which will feature an online project. After a little more digging into this, the article goes on to say that they're looking for like lead designers and world designers and game people to build up this universe. The job description eventually goes on to state that it's a online project set in the Horizon universe. In a social media post, it said it would feature new characters and a unique stylized look, which I assume is really just kind of more Horizon, which I would argue is pretty stylized already. Friends will be able to explore the world of Horizon together. And that sounds awesome. That sounds really cool. Here's the official job posting. If you or somebody knows how to code, you may be interested. Here's a list of all the positions they're looking for. And a new team is developing a separate online project. They're still doing the single player stuff, but they want to work on this online multiplayer project, and it is going to happen. So, I mean, it's going to be a ways out, right? I mean, they're still building up the team. You're probably looking at least 2 or 3 years if they can borrow a lot of the assets and just kind of refine the experience. That is really cool. And that excites me like no other thing, honestly, excites me. Because when you really think about like that universe and taking down these larger than life robots, which honestly I did like, but when you think about it, some of the best robots in the game, like the Tremor Tusk and the Behemoth from Horizon 1 or the giant Thunderhawks, those were fun to take down. And I don't know if you have played Monster Hunter, but if you haven't, you should. But it's so fun to be able to wail on something together. And specifically since Horizon features robotic enemies that do fall apart, that do kind of break down their parts, this game really lends itself to that team environment, because I think what's going to happen is you're going to see different parts breaking down. One person could be focusing on legs. One person could be focusing on the offensive system engaging in you, or whatever it happens to be. I'm thinking like a team of 3 or 4 hunters all laying down traps and everything, working on stuff together, blowing away parts, breaking down the enemies so that they can't engage. That's something that Monster Hunter's always been missing. Because Monster Hunter, yes, you can cut off the tail. Yes, you can break a part of a body where it starts to disable some of their attacks, but largely the monster looks the same from the beginning to the end of the fight. Yes, they start drooling towards the end and they start to slow down in their attacks, but not in the way you absolutely dismantle an enemy in the Horizon universe. And you think of those fights as parts are blowing off and there's explosions and there's a clear degradation of integrity of the enemy. And I feel like based on that, this has the potential to be so cool. I could just imagine playing with my friends, circling around an enemy, having an open world environment where you can go out and gather materials, set up, find an enemy, tag it in the horizon, you know, mark it out in the fields, ride in on your mounts and circle it and set up traps and set up different sorts of attacks. You could have somebody who's more engaged in melee, somebody who's more engaged in range. Maybe there's some sort of healer class or a support class kind of in the back. That sounds really, really cool. And I just hope that this project does take off. I think that would definitely invigorate a lot of people. You know, you look at, you know, how Horizon did. Yes, it sold well, and Aloy is a phenomenal character. And the idea of Horizon is very, very cool. Didn't really resonate with me, at least the second one. Doesn't seem like it resonated with everyone else either, though, because you look at the Game Awards and how many times Horizon was snubbed. Now, you could argue that obviously God of War Ragnarok is the ultimate Cadillac franchise of PlayStation. No doubt about it. It is leaps and bounds so good, universally loved. But it doesn't seem like Horizon really built up that sense of excitement. And it doesn't seem like Horizon obviously didn't really win anything. It largely seems forgotten, doesn't it? You don't really hear people talk about it a lot. Not in the way that they lovingly look at Elden Ring or the way that they're still actively playing through God of War. So this seems to me like a huge boost of adrenaline into a very fleshed out, exciting universe, but one that needs just a little bit more to kind of take it to that next level. The challenge here is going to be, depending on what the Bungie acquisition brings and some of those unique online game worlds, which we know Bungie is famous for. We know they're going to make something in the vein of Destiny, which will be a PlayStation exclusive title. Obviously, we know The Last of Us, as I mentioned before, the Factions game is going to be coming out probably 23. This game is going to have to make sure that it doesn't cannibalize itself. And I have a feeling PlayStation is going to be pretty good about that. But it makes you wonder in a few years the landscape as Xbox continues to acquire studios and build up. How fast does Sony want to respond? And how quickly do they want to get a game polished before they just kind of send it out? That, I think, is going to be this game's biggest hurdle. Because on paper, this game has me incredibly excited. I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on this. As I mentioned, I will post a link to the original article in the description box below. While you're down there subscribing to the channel, do me a favor and click on it and read it for yourself. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.